If you want to learn the most efficient way to get clients right now, today I'm going to teach you the entire client acquisition system that I've used to make tens of millions online. I've taught this to over 4,500 other service-based businesses to help them launch, build, and scale. We're going to be breaking down the entire system today, regardless of whether you are trying to go from 0 to 10K per month right now, 10 to 50K, 50 to 100K plus. If you fit into one of these categories, by the end of this video, you're going to have the exact roadmap that you need to take, the path of least resistance to go out there, scale, and get clients with low friction. Okay, now this works for you regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to, whether you work with local businesses, so you're offering maybe a lead gen service to companies in your local area, whether you work with physical businesses and they are international, or online business, maybe you're working with coaches, consultants, or you have an AI automation agency. Regardless of what you sell and who you sell it to, as long as you're trying to either save your clients time or make them more money, the systems I'm going to teach you today will work for you, and you'll have the exact roadmap when you come out of this. People overcomplicate client acquisition, but the number one mistake that I see people make is they go down this rabbit hole for too long trying to launch through an acquisition system that isn't actually suitable for their current level of scale or the industry that they're working with. So I'm going to be breaking this down in micro nuances. I'm going to be breaking down, first of all, the path going from 0 to 10K per month local business. Then we'll go through 10 to 50, 50 to 100, and then we'll break it down into these other niches. I will timestamp this video. I'm going to reference a whole bunch of other content that you can watch online. This is going to be an encyclopedia for growth. You can skip through to the relevant timestamp based on your situation if you like, although I recommend watching the entire thing so you get a depth of experience on how to actually grow businesses, because this is a skill that's going to last, and it took me almost 10 years to learn this. So let's start off with local business, 0 to 10K per month, okay? I'm going to draw out the path and what this actually looks like. Now, the first thing that really actually applies to everyone, regardless of the position that you're in right now, the foundations of your business or the foundations of you. I'm not going to get deep into this right now. If you want me to talk about any of this stuff that I mentioned today in more detail, comment down below, and if enough of you ask for it, then I'll talk about it. But the foundations of our business start with our goals. What are we actually working towards? What do we want to achieve? Not the goals of somebody else, but the goals of us. Are you wanting a 10K a month business that's lifestyle with a couple of team members so you can go and travel all the time? Or you want to build this enterprise with an office, maybe 100 team members, you're looking for a long-time exit? What are you working towards, and what does that mean to you? Then we've got the right mindset to actually achieve that. Do we have a strong enough why? Do we have a strong enough reason attached to that goal that's going to propel us forward? Because business is hard. Client acquisition is hard. We're going to have to do the hard shit through repetition every single day, making incremental gains to get to that goal. So is your mindset in check? Is our health in check? Okay, does our physicality actually allow us and facilitate our success? Do we have a good routine? Are we waking up on time, or are we working late? But we understand that sleep is important. We're allocating the right amount of time to work every day. And then finally, productivity. Do we have a good working station? Are we not distracted by other people causing noise? And so on. You get the idea. Okay, if you want me to talk about that, then I can dive deep into these personal foundations in more detail for those of you that are struggling with that right now. Let's just get into the business shit. So once we've got our business, and I'm going to presume that all of you guys understand, what you sell and who you want to sell it to. You must know that. If you don't have an idea, then a good place to start right now is AI lead generation, offering a lead generation service for people, which is generating leads. And we're bolting AI onto that, being the latest trend, but also just being the easiest and fastest way to get results for people right now. Okay. And we might start off offering that to local businesses, for example. That's a nice place to start if you have no idea where to start. For those of you that already do have a place, I'm presuming that you've already got past experience, or you already know what you're doing. So I'm not gonna preach to the choir about that one. So we need to know what we're selling and who we're selling it to. Okay, that's not what this video is about. We're starting off local. We've really got four main pillars for client acquisition. We have outreach, which is the act of reaching out to people cold. So we're putting ourselves in front of people. We then have content, just like this video right now, okay, creating content online, so we get inbound. We then have paid ads, so we're actually spending money to acquire customers, so we're essentially buying customers. And then we have referrals, okay, so we might have existing clients giving us referrals, we might have partners giving us referrals, and we're going to break down each of these things. The ultimate goal as an agency is to get, or in a service business, is to get a booked call. We're not trying to sell people in our outreach efforts. What we're trying to do is get booked calls, which is then where we're going to qualify and find out whether the prospect is suitable. We're going to have a sales call, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to close them on a monthly retainer service typically. Okay, monthly retainers is what we're aiming for. Sometimes it'll be one-off services, but normally it's a monthly retainer. In fact, I'll break down this process, this kind of money-making engine towards the end of this video, and maybe we can go really deep and granular into this in a future video. I kind of break that down there. Okay, cool. So local business, 0 to 10K. Let's get into it. So where we're going to go is we're going to go straight through to outreach. Okay. Outreach costs us no money, and it really is just putting in our time and committing grit, because it is gritty. It's hard work, into getting clients. 0 to 10K is all about throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Okay, but we don't want to spend loads of money. We also don't really want to run ads because we don't have any leverage. We can't compete with people that are running ads and have already got case studies, they've already got proof. 0 to 10K is all about proving that we are who we say we are and we can do what we say we can do. Okay, and the best way to do that is get in front of as many people as we possibly can, and we can do that through cold outreach. Now, I'm going to break this down on an individual level. We're going to go into this quite granularly, but we have 3 different things that we can do. We've got cold calls, we've got emails, and we've got DMs. Pretty self-explanatory. Cold calls is the act of calling up people completely cold. Emails, self-explanatory. DMs, direct messages on social media. Main platforms being like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can DM on other platforms, but those are the predominant ones. Cold outreach is undoubtedly the best place to start, going from 0 to 10. Okay, so let's dive into that in a little bit more detail, and then we'll talk about some other options that we may have in this path of least resistance for you if you fit into this category. Okay, let's get into this. So the first thing we need to do before we can even outreach is we need to lead gen. Lead gen meaning we need to generate a big list of leads that we're going to reach out to. Okay. You want a minimum of 200 to 500 leads before you start reaching out to people. So you've got a good hit list and it's not going to hold you back in your efforts. Okay. You don't want to have to be chasing your list, meaning you're reaching out to people, running out of leads, having to spend time generating more leads. Now, I'm not going to go in deep detail on how to generate leads right now because I talk about this. There's a link in the description. You can go and watch a lead gen video that I've put out on this channel that'll show you how to generate thousands of leads in minutes. And I'm going to reference links in the description throughout this video. So you can go ahead and you can watch them. You're going to have homework at the end of this. Follow your roadmap that I go through right now. Watch the videos that are relevant to you. I'll categorize them in the description, and so you can get this shit done and actually action what I'm talking about. We're going to generate a list of companies first, and we're going to start off using software if you want the most efficient way. Software being a company like clay.com, which is the most efficient way to generate leads right now. We can also scrape directories using things like Bantam Buster and Auto, and also what I'm talking about, Data Miner. We can scrape social media like Facebook groups. We can use Google Maps. We can use a data agency and just buy leads. But if we want the most efficient way, it's going to be clay.com using software. Or if you're on a budget, it can be Lead Swift, which is another lead gen tool. We then need to generate the decision makers' details. The reason why is because we always want to be contacting someone with purpose. Never attempt to contact a company if you don't know the decision makers' details. Don't waste your or their time. Your conversion rate is going to be terrible. The most efficient way to get decision makers' details is going to be software again, or we can use directory, social media, and Google as well. Okay, I'm skipping through that because this is about client acquisition as a whole. I've got so much content on lead generation, so you can look at that another time. So now we're going to start our outreach. We've got our list of leads. We know who we're going to reach out to. We're going to start with a multi-platform strategy. What I mean by this is we're going to do a whole bunch of shit. 0 to 10K is about doing a whole bunch of shit and seeing what actually sticks. And also means you're going to have to do a whole bunch of shit you don't really want to do. But the reason why we are doing that is because we are all in different locations, working with different people with different nuances, different personalities, and you don't know what's going to work the best for you as an individual. You might be cold calling companies in New York and having terrible results versus somebody else is cold calling companies in Birmingham in the UK and having incredible results. The difference might not be the script, it might be the location. So we've got to try these different things out to know what actually works. And then the benefit of then getting traction, getting to 10K a month, is we then get to get rid of a load of stuff that didn't work and just focus on doing less, okay, to achieve more. Okay, so initially we have to do loads to achieve very little. And then we have the benefit, the pleasure of getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff, doing very little to achieve lots. Okay, now I'm going to start from left to right, and this actually starts with the things that are most hard to achieve, but also the most effective. Ironically, the most effective outreach strategies are the ones that people want to avoid. They're the archaic, the old ones, the ones I talk about on this channel, and people are like, oh, we're in a year of AI now, bro. Why are you still talking about networking? Because networking works the best for anyone selling anything if you're working with local business, okay? The easier it is for kids to hang out in their bedrooms sending emails and DMs, the more effective it is for people, for killers, to go out there and go to networking events and clean up. Because the truth is, I don't care what agency you've got, whether it's AI automation, it's new and it's trendy and that you think is really unique, you ain't unique. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other people that have the exact same agency as you, offering the same service with the same USP, with the same unique mechanism. And so how do we stand out? Well, we build real relationships with real people. That's what people are actually buying. They're buying you as an individual. So what better way to build a relationship than being in person, seeing someone in this digital age where everybody else is hiding behind a computer because they're chronic introverts that are scared to put themselves out there. I'm saying that as someone that used to be a chronic introvert, and wasn't until I forced myself to do physical outreach that I realized how effective it actually was. Okay, so networking, my third and my fourth client came from networking. I actually attended an event called the Avocado Club in my local city with one of my clients, Jane, who owned a restaurant. She introduced me to other people. It was easy pickings. Okay, so go networking ASAP. This is a hack. If you want to sign up clients in your local area, get into as many networking events as you possibly can. Next thing we've got is door to door. Okay, so this is going down and knocking down doors. I used to knock down 40 doors every single day in a job that I had. It was brutal, but it works so well. One of our mentees, Gonzalo, signed up his first 6 clients from door to door. Got a video on that. I'll put a link in the description. You can go and check that out. The whole strategy broken down. Next thing is cold calling, self-explanatory. We're calling up businesses. 5% meeting book rate. That means 5% of the people you call, you will get a meeting booked with. Nothing else on here can compete with that apart from door to door and networking as far as meeting book rate is concerned. Still incredibly effective. Also very scary, very daunting, but it trains you in the early stages as an entrepreneur to be able to take more no's than you do yeses, to build resilience. And it's that resilience, okay, arguably resilience is the single most important trait of any entrepreneur and is the thing that people who fail lack. Okay, if you want to build resilience, get on the phones. You'll build it very quickly. So these are the priority, okay? And the next thing we have, something a bit unorthodox that still works and very well, is direct mail. So this is actually sending letters to people. If you work with any kind of clinic-based businesses, direct mail is a great way to bypass the gatekeeper and get straight a hold of the business owner, okay? It's unorthodox. People don't do it, and that is why it works. Then we have the 2 lazy ones. They're still worth doing. They do still work, but you need a lot more volume now than you used to need. Okay, so I'm talking about sending hundreds of these every single day rather than sending, like 10, 20, where you really won't get the results like you used to. Okay, and that is simply because everyone can do it. It is easy. The easiest things to do are the things that get the least results. It is that simple. And the same really rule applies to anything in life. Okay, so we've got cold email, sending emails to people, social media DMs. The priority of platforms right now is probably is Facebook first, then we have Instagram, and then we have LinkedIn. In fact, Instagram and LinkedIn are interchangeable, as in like they're kind of like on par with each other, just depending on what niche you reach out to. But Facebook is the one that's the most effective right now as we speak. Okay, so we're going to try out all of these things, regardless of who we're working with, to see what works the best for us. Okay, and we're going to do this ourselves. Okay, we're not going to send this through to a setter. A setter is only going to come into play, which is an appointment setter, someone who does this for you later on down the line when we're at a different revenue level, and we won't get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that shortly. Okay, so it's going to be you doing this outreach, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to book a call. The one thing that we can do, though, with emails and with DMs specifically, is we can use automation. Okay, so the automation that we're going to use we're going to use email tools like SmartLead or Instantly. Both of these are great email tools that we can use. And then we can also use a cold calling tool like Just Call, or we can use Go High Level. And then as far as social media DMs are concerned, if we're doing Instagram, and I don't have affiliate links for any of these things, so you can go and check them out for yourself or use different ones. But these are the ones that we're seeing great results with right now. Auto IGTM for Instagram, Facebook Messenger bot for Facebook, a Drippy for Twitter, and then Expandy for LinkedIn. Okay, so these are the main automation tools that we can use. So this is the roadmap from going to 0 to 10K per month as a local agency. There is nothing else that you can do that is going to get you to the place of 10K a month quicker than this is if you have no case studies, no leverage, no results. Okay. But what else can we do? Like, what else, hypothetically speaking, could we do if we did have more leverage, okay? If we did have leverage, and by leverage I mean we have at least 3 case studies that we can use, we could consider running paid ads to start off with. But it is very unlikely, if you're watching this right now at 0, that you're going to have any case studies. Many people waste money and try and run before they walk, but by trying to run paid ads. They just simply can't compete because what they're doing is they are promising over proving. So they're saying, I can get you this exact result or you don't pay. No one's opting into their ads. And they're thinking, why is nobody opting into the ads? Well, it's because you're not proving that you can actually do what you say you can do. So for ads to work well, we have to have some kind of leverage, some kind of a proof, which is why I'm not going to recommend it in this roadmap unless you do have that proof already. Referrals, who are we going to get referrals from? Well, in the early stages, if we're 0 to 10, we're not going to get any partner referrals because we don't have any partners. We're not going to get any client referrals because we don't have any. We're not going to get any agency referrals unless we've got friends in the agency. We might get networking referrals, okay, if we have an unfair advantage, we've got a family member in business, we know people, okay, and we might get word of mouth referrals if we know people. But I'm not going to put it in this roadmap because it's going to be, an outlier for most people. And so if you've got one of these things, you'll already know it, and so there's no point in putting it there. Content-wise, do you need to be posting content in order to get clients in the early stages? Is it likely that you will get clients? Yes, you could definitely get clients, but not in the time frame that we are looking for here. If you want to go from 0 to 10K a month in 3 months, which is very, very possible, by the way, content isn't going to be the fastest thing to get you there. Content is a slower burn that is going to compound over a longer period of time, and we're going to talk about it now in the next breakdown. So that's 0 to 10K, very simple. We're really talking about cold outreach here, and sorry if that's not what you want to hear, but it's the thing that works the most. So don't comment underneath this video coming at me for cold outreach being, age old, and I'm talking about the same shit. I'm talking about the same shit because it actually fucking works. And anybody that's telling you otherwise or trying to sell you on some new thing is just trying to sell you on a course, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay? Cold outreach is how you get clients going from 0 to 10 local business. That's it. What are we going to do going from 10 to 50K though? We've gained some traction, okay? We've actually gained some traction. We've proved that we can do this. How do we now optimize from this point? Well, 10 to 50K a month, let's start off on the outreach side. 10 to 50K a month is about analyzing what worked, okay? And now only doing what worked. So we are going to look at the data, most importantly, and we're going to look at our meeting book rate. Okay, meeting book rate and our time to acquire a customer. So how much time did we have to spend to get a customer? And what is the meeting book rate? How many of these actions did we take in order to get said customer? Now, we might establish that, let's say, for example, cold calls was the most efficient way for us to get clients. Okay, and then that means we're going to then get rid of emails and we're going to get rid of DMs. Okay, that's a lovely place to be. We earn that privilege. So we just analyze what worked. We get rid of everything else, and we double and triple down on that, because the truth is you're going to be busy managing clients, you're going to be busy with service delivery, you're going to be busy hiring people. We can't afford to be doing all this stuff that's inefficient, so we have to seek the efficiency inside of our business and just stick to that one thing. Okay, that's 10 to 50. The other thing that we can consider with cold outreach, going from 10 to 50, we go down onto here, as we can, let's say we establish we've got cold calling going on, we can start considering getting a setter in, okay? A setter being somebody else's appointment setter who's going to call these companies on our behalf. Now, do I think that you should do this straight away at 10K a month? No. Do I think you should wait until you're at 15, 20K? Yes. The reason why is the main priority for agency should not be hiring someone in sales, it should be hiring someone in service. So prioritize getting enough capital in the business to hire someone to do service for delivery for you, because you as the business owner are always going to be the best salesperson. Get your service delivery team in, have you removed from the day-to-day operations of the service, and then think about getting a setter into the business. So most agencies, this is like 15, 20K, maybe 25K a month. We need to make sure that we've got our script dialed in and we teach it to them. It's got to be personal. It's got to give them a direct offer. We've got to ask for a call, okay? And then if we want to use automation, we can go ahead and we can use something like Just Call, or we can use Go High Level. When I say automation, we're not AIing the call calls. We are just using a power dialer, which basically dials for us on repeat, and it cuts down all of the time, the admin time in between calls. So it means we can get through a lot more calls on a daily basis. Okay, so that's really the only additional step going from 10 to 50. We can get a cold caller in. I can talk about this in more detail if you want me to, but we're talking about like a small base salary, probably around, $1,500 a month plus a commission on top of that. You want the earnings to be somewhere between 2 and 3K per month, depending on where you are hiring said setter from. Okay. So, what else can we do? That is cold outreach, but we really want to start thinking about content. In fact, content is a bit of a non-negotiable when it comes to that 10 to 50k point. Now, you definitely can start content 0 to 10k. In fact, I encourage you to do so, but you're not relying on it as a client acquisition strategy. You know that it's going to compound later. Okay, so we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Twitter, we've also got TikTok, which I haven't put on here for some reason. And let's break those down and talk about like what platforms actually make the most sense to start off with. Okay, let's get into it. So what options have we got? So we've got our platforms at the start. I'm also going to go into forums, which is wildcard. You guys are going to love this. If we're starting off on local business, we've got our short form platforms first of all. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, and we've got TikTok. Say short form platforms, you might be thinking Facebook isn't a short form platform, but it really is these days. The main benefit on Facebook is the Facebook Reels. Outside of that, we've got Facebook groups, so we could build our authority in a group. In fact, a group strategy is really good for local business. So we could join local Facebook groups and we could build our authority in those groups by providing value to people, especially if it's a niche-based group. But we do also then have the short form content. Now, the thing is with short form content is it's not best optimized for local business, okay, because you're going to be reaching a broad audience. But most local agencies will branch out to wider areas later down the line, which is why I'm not going to rule it out. We can create shorts on Instagram. We can create shorts on TikTok, okay? But if we're going to do this, we need to keep up to a minimum posting schedule of 3 posts per week. If not, we're not going to gain any traction at all. So it really is for those of you that can actually see yourself keeping up, recording short form content for an extended period of time because you actually enjoy that content, okay? If you don't enjoy it and you can't see yourself keeping it up, there's no point in you doing it, and you're better off optimizing for a longer form platform like YouTube. So that's our short form. Next, we have our written platforms like LinkedIn, and then we have Twitter. LinkedIn can be good for local business. Okay, LinkedIn is easy to connect with local entrepreneurs. Twitter, not as much. Twitter, I generally wouldn't recommend as a local business strategy unless you are planning on breaking out of local later. So I'm going to keep it in here for now. I'm going to keep all of these in here, but I want you to be aware if you're just sticking local, there's no point doing Twitter. Okay, because you're going to have such a low hit rate. Next, we've got YouTube, which is the king of all social media platforms. I'm not just saying it because I'm on YouTube right now, but it is the king because we have evergreen content. You put out a video online, which is like how to market or how to run Facebook ads for dentists. You know, when someone goes over to Google, they're going to find that video and they're going to find it for the next few years. Okay, if you're creating good enough content, give away as much value as you possibly can. 1 video per week is easy to keep up. And yeah, that is evergreen nested content. This is the platform that I recommend the most. It's the platform that everyone talks about. It's the king of social media platforms when it comes to generating revenue. Okay, what are the unorthodox things that we've got? We've got forums, okay, so we might have local forums, local business forums that we can build relationships with people on. We have Quora, so we can be answering questions online based on people's questions. Like, so we might have, dentists talking about like AI marketing strategies. We can go ahead and we can answer those questions. Reddit, same thing. Reddit is a great place to find agency clients. Industry-based forums, it might be dentist-based local forums that we can use, and then other being things like school groups and so on. Now, because we're talking about local business, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Really, the only options that we've got are forums, and we might be able to utilize Reddit, and we might be able to utilize industry, and it's very unlikely we're going to have some kind of local business school group, for example. Quora is also relatively unlikely that we're going to be answering local business questions on Quora. Now, if you are wondering what content to put out there, comment down below content pillars, and I'll record a video in the future breaking down this 3-step strategy that we use, or this breakdown. For content pillars, we have entertain, 40%, 40% education, 40% inspire, and I'll give you a whole framework for creating content ideas using ChatGPT and AI going forward. But again, I don't want to get too stuck in the weeds on other stuff because there's a whole bunch of shit that we can go into, and I just want to stick to client acquisition today. So let me know. So that's our content. That's what we can do if we want to. If we're creating content, I do recommend you doing this as a new age agency, regardless of whether you're local or international, because this is how we build a strategy that is going to last. But are we going to be posting content on multiple platforms? Absolutely not. We are only going to be focusing on one. So I want to make that really clear. I'm going to get rid of all of these apart from YouTube. That is not to say it is the only platform that you should be posting content on based on based on your agency. You need to decide which one is going to make the most sense for you. Do not be splitting your time across all these different platforms and wondering why you're not gaining any traction. It's because you're half-arsing, 5 different platforms instead of going all in on one. Okay. And the key going from 10 to 50K per month is we only have one of these pillars cranking, or one of these strategies cranking in each of these pillars. So we are going to be running paid ads as well. We're going to start spending money on ads when we hit 10K a month. Because if you've hit 10K a month, you've got leverage, you've got case studies. We have at least 3 case studies that we can use and we can display. That is our proof. Okay, you're going to have a promise, you're going to have an offer already, you're going to have a desired result that people want, and you can show them all these people that you've got that result for before. If you are a dentist and you want to generate this result, we can do it with this system, and these are all the people we've done it for. You get the idea. Okay, so one of the platforms that we're going to use, okay, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got Google. Facebook is really going to be the highest leverage place for the majority of agencies, okay, and Instagram, because it's really just the same thing. These two are interchangeable because they're owned by the same company. Okay, few of you are going to want to run YouTube ads and Google ads early on. This is something that's going to come into later, but Facebook ads and then Instagram is really going to be the main thing that we are doing when we are starting. Okay, so what does that look like? Are we going to break this down in more detail? Shall we go into the funnel side of things? Fuck it, let's do it. Let's get into it. Okay, so paid ads. The options that we have, we've got Facebook ads, we've got Instagram ads, we've got YouTube ads, we've got Google ads, we've got TikTok, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Twitter. I'm going to paraphrase the things that we're going to be, the reasons we can use these platforms. Facebook and Instagram, they're the biggest, most widely used social media platforms on the planet. We then, as a result of that, have a really low cost per lead because it's very easy to access people, which is why we start off here. YouTube ads is more for those online businesses. We're going to come into it later on in the videos, the kind of online AI, agency owners, coaches and consultants and so on. Google ads is more inbound. It's something that we want when we've got the money to spend and we're getting inbound traffic we can use and leverage. TikTok ads is a very new age, but again, online business focus, not really great for local. LinkedIn is great for commercial. It's great for corporate, but very expensive cost per lead, probably about 3 to 4 times more than Facebook and Instagram. And then Twitter is a very similar story. It's great for those really big businesses, but not great for agencies starting off. So don't get distracted by any of these other things. If you're an agency working with local, when you're going from 10 to 50K, you want to be starting off on Facebook and Instagram ads. The first thing that you are going to do, is put a 1 there, is you're going to start off with lead forms. Okay, lead forms are just when we run an ad and we have a form straight direct on the ad. It's the lowest friction way to get meetings booked. And we're going to drive people through to a booked call. The next way, when those ads fatigue, because you can probably squeeze about 3 to 6 months out of your ads going lead forms because it's low friction, they will fatigue. People will get bored of them. You're going to then have to go ahead and you're going to launch a landing page. Okay, some people will start off with a landing page, but I recommend starting off with a lead form. It's a really low friction way to test and start making money. It's the second thing that we do. Now, when we create a landing page, there are 3 different types of landing pages that work for agencies. We have a straight sell landing page, we have a lead magnet, and we have a VSL. We're going to use them in this order. The biggest mistake people make when they run ads as a service-based business is they start off with a VSL. And it is one of the most complicated funnels to create when you don't have any experience, because you're relying on you recording a 10 to 20 minute video where explaining your service and you think that you can sell it well enough without having that depth of experience. The next thing is a lead magnet, where we maybe give a free resource away in order for then people to give us their details, and so we call them up. The problem with lead magnet is that you are optimizing for freebie hunters or people that want to spend very little money, and you're not getting the best quality lead. So I do not recommend running these funnels, okay, if you're starting an agency or going from 10 to 50K. These are much more sophisticated funnels that you should run further down the line, and arguably you will never actually have to run, okay, at scale in your agency, at least right now, okay. VSL funnels very rarely are necessary for agencies and very rarely will work unless your LTV is like 20K plus. If your LTV is below 20K, don't run a VSL. Okay, because we've got double stage drop off. We've got a conversion rate on the ad, we've got a conversion rate on the VSL itself. Lead magnets are the same story. We've got this double drop-off, okay? We've got people that we're running ads to that are optimizing into a free resource, and then we have to convert them after that. We want to have the path of least resistance, okay, with as few barriers as we possibly can have. Lead magnets work great for organic. Okay, they work awesome for organic traffic, not so great for ads when it comes to a service-based business. Okay, again, unless you have a very substantial lifetime value. That is why for the majority of agencies, the funnel that works the best forever and right now is a straight sell funnel. Okay, this is a landing page where we have our offer stated in the hero section. We then have a little section which is why we're different, and then we have all of our proof. Okay, that why we're different might also be a process. And the most important thing, we've got all this proof. It's a direct offer and it's promise and it's proof. Okay, and the curiosity comes from that midsection. Now, we can send people through to an application form on the next page, or my preference is to bypass that and actually just go ahead. And we're going to move this through to here and go straight into a schedule page. Okay, so we're going to schedule people into a booked call and we're going to get them in. So the only time they actually opt into this funnel, they go straight sell, they click the button, it takes them through to a schedule page, they book a call with your agency, and there we are. That is the lowest friction, easiest funnel that you can run as an agency, bar none, converts incredibly well, is very scalable, and we're getting people into that booked call. Again, if you want me to talk about this in more detail, comment down below, straight sell funnel. I'll record a whole video where I break down the psychology behind this funnel, show you a whole bunch of them. They're working really well right now. We've got a lot of people spending a lot of cash on these funnels, and they're cranking. Do not waste your time on lead magnets and VSLs. You will spend like 3 months building this thing out to be like, oh shit, it doesn't work. And then you'll be too emotionally attached to the VSL because you put so much time into it that you continue spending money on that VSL and wasting your time, okay, because you're emotionally connected to it. Comment down below if you've been in that situation. I know I have. Same thing on a lead magnet. You put in all this time to create these really comprehensive lead magnets, you give way too much away, and then they don't convert. And you're like, why aren't they converting? You're banging your head against the wall. You're too emotionally connected to it. Straight sell is the lowest path of resistance, and it works incredibly well. And that is the funnel we're going to be using, going from 10 to 50K per month. And actually, like, to be honest, this is the funnel you're going to use, going from 50 to 100K, 100K to a million, whatever. So what can we do with referrals? Okay, now not all of these systems will work from 10 to 50K. The ones that will work well are client referrals. So this is our existing clients giving us referrals, but also networking and word of mouth. Okay, word of mouth is one of those like unfair advantage things that we've either got or we haven't. And then networking is obviously we're just keeping up, still attending these networking events. Okay, because this is something that we always want to do. You should do this at all levels of scale, attending events, attending masterminds, going to conferences. It just works well. Referrals is the only pillar in this whole system where we're allowed to have multiple systems. Okay, so with paid ads, we only want one. Facebook and Instagram, like they're interchangeable, so it counts as one. Content, only one channel. Outreach, only one channel. Referrals, we can have as many cranking as we want. Okay. Right now, we're only going to focus on these areas. We're not going to focus on agency referrals, partner referrals yet. That doesn't mean that it's impossible, but what we're talking about is other agencies partnering with us and referring us clients. And we're talking about other partners, so like software companies, events companies, giving us referrals as well. Can you get them going? Yes, but you risk burning a whole bunch of potential relationships. Okay, it's far better that you wait for these. We're going to come on to them in a second. So let's break down the referral system. I might have already done that. I don't know how much we need to go into. Okay, yeah, cool. We'll break this down in a bit more detail. So agency referrals, we're not doing that. We're going through client referrals. These are active and previous clients, okay? And so what we're going to do is essentially we're going to wait till what I call peak satisfaction. So when a client is at their peak satisfaction, you've generated them results, you're going to reach out to them and say, hey, do you have any other businesses that you could recommend to us? And we'll give you 10% off your retainer fee. And you basically discount the service to get referrals. We create a nice PDF. Again, if you want me to talk about it, I can talk about it more in a future video. Then we have networking events, as I said. So what we're really talking about here is we're talking about industry events. So ones from your niche. We're talking about conferences in or niche or broad marketing ones. And we're talking about mastermind events. We're going to be attending them, doubling down on mastermind events because they work incredibly well. Or just building your knowledge. We've got one coming up in September. It's already full. And we've got 20 agency owners attending that. If you want to join a waitlist, then it's called Agency a Session. You can attend our next event. But I don't know when that'll be yet. Word of mouth, we obviously have our reputation. So from people that know us, and we have friends of family as well. So there's not really anything else to talk about here, apart from we do have an entire tracking system that I recommend. So that tracking system will be just a separate pipeline that you'll want to create. You can create this and go high level on your CRM system. You want to treat referrals just like you would any other client. So keep them in different pipeline stages, keep on top of the follow-ups and so on, and also make sure you're qualifying people and you're not just taking on any client that is given your way. So that is the roadmap and going from 10 to 50k per month local biz style. Now let's do 50 to 100k per month plus. How are we doing on time? We are good. Okay, 50, 100k per month plus, same rule applies. We're just going to have that one strategy cranking that had already worked. So because we here have said that cold calls has worked for us in this little strat that we've been building out here. It might be emails for you, it might be DMs, and that's good. That's what we're going to stick with for now. Okay, let's just take that down here. So, we've got our one strat in there. We have our content pillar going on here as well. Now, going from 50 to 100k per month, I do recommend adding LinkedIn into the mix, because what's going to happen going from 10 to 50, from 50 to 100 is you're going to want to increase the caliber of the clients you work with. The truth is, when you start off an agency, you're not going to be working with favorable clients. You're going to be working with smaller businesses, anyone that will say yes to you. As we start growing, we want to increase our average client value. We want to naturally increase our lifetime value. We want to have a minimum client lifetime value, 5 figures, which is 10k per month. Ideally, it wants to be 20, 30 plus. Okay, our lifetime value is 30k a month inside the agency, affluent.co, which is our e-com agency. LinkedIn is a great place to build a professional founding, build a professional brand, and start networking with bigger, better entrepreneurs and signing up better clients. So I recommend LinkedIn when you're above 50k a month. Get it in the mix. Okay. Next thing we've got going on is paid ads, of course. So we've got our one strategy that we've got running on Facebook, and then we also have our Instagram ads that are now cranking. The one thing we are definitely going to move away from at this point, at least the testing out, is we're going to move away from the lead forms, and we're going to start cranking landing page, okay? And that's going to be our straight sell if we haven't already at this point used that, okay? But we're going to need a landing page at this level of scale in order to be able to grow efficiently. Lead forms just simply won't cut it. We're still not going to bother with the lead magnet and the VSL unless this is organic. Okay, so if this is organic, my terrible drawing now, then we can run it. Okay, so we can definitely do organic lead magnets. Again, link in the description. I'll talk about a great AI lead magnet strategy that you can use to get clients that I'm using right now on this channel. Okay, VSL we're still avoiding though. The other thing that I would recommend adding into the mix is Google Ads. And what these Google Ads are going to be is going to be your agency name. Okay, so your agency name, your niche. Okay, so just some very, very low resistance Google Ads. And just so you can get to the top of the searchings, just in case any of your competitors, because when you're above 50k a month, people start to notice. And your competitors will start running ads on your name. And so you want to protect your name by running it. So by that, I mean like you're running ads to the keyword affluent.co. So you come up on the top of Google. It also just makes you look a whole lot more professional. Okay, referrals. How does this change? Well, apart from the existing strategies that we've already highlighted, so we've got our networking going on, we've got our word of mouth still going on, we've got our client referrals still going on, we can now introduce partner referrals and agency referrals. Okay, let's go over to here. Partner referrals, we're talking about softwares, talking about non-competing businesses. A great partner referral for us and the agency has been a company called Triple Whale, which is an ad tracking tool. We work with e-commerce businesses. They're one of the biggest attribution tools or ad tracking tools in the e-commerce space. Well, actually, the biggest. They gave us a lot of clients as we were growing the business. There's also various outreach companies that have given us clients, other event companies. I'm not going to give you the names of them because people are then going to try and poach those relationships. But building relationships with big softwares that you actively use in the agency is a very efficient way to get clients. We have a partner agency called For You Advertising, an agency we helped found, and they have a great relationship with TikTok directly, and TikTok referred them clients. So we're now at the stage where we've got enough clout. Okay, the reason why I don't recommend doing partnership referrals too soon is because we risk reaching out to big companies that we could build a really good relationship with that just simply don't want to work with us yet because we don't have enough clout yet. We don't have enough leverage. They don't think that we're at their level, and so we want to be able to really prove that we can get exceptional results for people and that we're an agency to watch before we start reaching out and rebuilding those relationships. And we're going to start reaching out in the outreach strategies. We're going to use email. We're going to use DMs. Okay, we're going to reach out to them just like we were potential clients. I'm going to treat this like a pipeline. We're going to make sure we've got a pipeline going. Same thing for agency referrals. So let's say you are a web development agency. Well, you can work with pretty much any other agency on a referral basis. You can work with ad agencies, you can work with email agencies, you can work with AI agencies. So any agency that offers a complementary service to your niche that you already work with, you can build relationships with. And so I recommend, just like you would outreaching clients, you allocate time to reaching out to 10, 20, 30, 50 companies every single week, getting on calls with them and building relationships. In fact, the goal I would recommend you for a partner and agency referral is you want to be having one conversation for a partner every single week. Okay, at least one. If you have one conversation every single week with a new agency or a new software partner, then over the course of the months, even if you build one good relationship every quarter, your agency is going to grow considerably faster. So 50 to 100K a month, the momentum can build very quickly. Okay. Tell you a story. We've got an agency inside of one of our mentorship programs. His name is Nico. Nico started an agency called Dentology. It took him 12 months to go from 0 to 7.5K a month. Okay. So, well, 7.5K pounds. So $10K. Okay. 12 months. That's a long time. It's actually longer than most people. But after those 12 months, it took Nico 3 months to go from that 10K to 25K. And then it took him a further 1 month to go from 25K to 50K. He's now scaling way beyond 50K. He's going to be at 100K very, very soon. But when the momentum starts building, you start building these great relationships, you start getting a whole ton of referrals in. Okay, the agency grows it's just so much easier than before because we're being rewarded for the time that we've put in previously. We're being rewarded for all of that grit, for all that resilience we had to build previously. Okay, so that is how we go from 10 to 100K per month plus. We're maximizing our referrals in every way possible. We're running our outbound ads, so our top of funnel ads on Facebook and Instagram, and then we're running our inbound ads on Google. And we've got maybe 2 content pillars, and we've still just got 1 outreach pillar running. You could get rid of outreach at this point, although if outreach is still cranking, so you technically could get rid of outreach entirely at this point, although it is still cranking, what reason would you have to do it? And the best agencies have paid and outbound running. Okay, so let's clear this all up. That is where we're at if we're local business. How does this change? In fact, it would be easier to talk about how this changes without drawing it if it's physical business. Okay, physical business actually is going to be pretty much identical to what we've got going on here already. Okay, so with physical business, the strategy is pretty much identical with one difference. The one thing that's going to change going from 0 to 10K is we're not going to use a multi-platform strategy. We are just going to focus on one acquisition strategy, or one outreach strategy to start off with. The reason why we are doing that is because with physical business, we can't leverage our locality. And so the conversion rate is going to be considerably lower because people don't resonate with you because they don't know who you are and where you're from. You're from like an alien place to them, even if you're from just a different city 100 miles away. So we need to reach out to 200, if not 300 more leads every single day to get the same conversion rate, which then makes it unfeasible to be doing cold calls, emails, and DMs. So we're going to pick just one strategy, and that's going to be arguably cold calls is going to be the most effective. We can't do networking or door-to-door. We could do direct mail, we could do email, we could do DMs. So I'm going to leave these 3 or these 4 highlighted here, but my recommendation would be cold calling to start off with, because cold calling has the highest meeting book rate than any of these other strategies. It's going to be the lowest time to acquire a customer if you are, if you're working with real businesses. Okay, so you could do direct mail, could do email, could do DMs, but trust me when I say cold calling is without a doubt the most efficient way, the fastest way that you're going to get clients working with those guys. Okay, so that is really the only thing that changes with physical business when we're talking about 0 to 10K per month. It's the only thing that we can do. Going from 10 to 50K per month, what we're really talking about, this doesn't change on outreach, this doesn't change on content, this doesn't change on paid ads, nothing changes apart from networking. But we can still go to mastermind events. So going from 10 to 50K per month is exactly the same as the strategy that I just went through on local biz. Going from 50 to 100K per month is the same story. It's going to be exactly the same strategy. Okay, so that doesn't actually change at all. So if you have skipped through to this part of the video and you're a physical business going through either 10 or 50K a month at the moment, go back and watch the previous strategy, the previous timestamps. That's going to give you all the context you need on the roadmap that you need to take. So really the only thing that changes is going from 0 to 10, because we don't then have the time to to do all of that. So what is going to change if you are a online business? So you're working with online clients. Maybe it's coaches, consultants, maybe it's online PTs, which are coaches and consultants really. Or maybe you're an AI agency and you're just working with kind of corporates and so on. What does that actually look like? This is where things change and we need to reconsider the strat. So if we've got our business, we're doing outreach, we've got emails, we've got DMs, we don't have cold calls. We can't cold call online business, okay, unless we've got mobile numbers. The only caveat is we can get mobile numbers, and this is a hack for you. You can use clay.com to find mobile numbers if you find people's LinkedIn. So that is an option, but really, for the majority of you, it's going to be emails and it's going to be DMs that we're going to be using on the outreach side, going from 0 to 10K per month, okay? So we know we've got to do our outreach. We're going to email people. We're going to DM. The platform I would recommend for the majority of you, depending on the niche that you work with, is going to be, we're not going to do it ourselves, so we're going to use automation. It's going to be Facebook Messenger, mainly, as the main strat to start off with, depending on the niche that you're looking to work with. You might ask why Instagram. Instagram is just heavily used by everyone, and where everybody is in one place, we want to try and be in another. We want to try and separate ourselves. And the other place that we could definitely consider with effectiveness is LinkedIn, but we want to be building somewhat of a personal brand there. So this is where the strategy differs going online. Next thing we've got going from 0 to 10K is we can definitely get into content straight away because we're going to get more reach. And I would recommend going on platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Okay, we're really just going to do one of these though. We're not going to do all of them. In fact, actually, we can use any of these platforms to start off with, but we are just picking one. I want to make that very clear. We're not doing a multi-platform content strategy. It's just completely unfeasible. Okay. For the majority of you, YouTube is going to be the best place. Like, YouTube is the hardest place to record content, but it's evergreen content. It's going to be the most effective. LinkedIn is also going to be very good. It's kind of that baseline. But it's something that we can introduce as a secondary strategy later. And then if you are into short form content, then Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, just share the same content across all of those platforms, post 3 times a week. And there's going to be a strategy that's going to work well for you. We've got a student, Levi, that's cranking right now of online business on TikTok. That's where the majority of his clients are coming from. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be either, we're basically just talking video content between either YouTube or short form. Video content is king though. We don't want to be starting off on written content. Written content is that backup piece that comes in later. Now, what we can also do, and this again is not going to be something that we're going to have to do from day one, but forums, Quora definitely comes into play. Reddit definitely comes into play. Industry forums definitely come into play. And then we've also got other like school groups, WhatsApp communities and so on, Facebook groups and so on that can be really effective in the early stages. Okay, so we're picking one of these. Let's just say hypothetically, again, no, we're just choosing YouTube, but you get the idea. We're picking one to start off with. And then what do we got? We're not going to run ads. We don't have the leverage going from 0 to 10K. And we're not going to go through referrals unless we can network and do word of mouth. Okay. So networking we can do. And although we've put networking inside of cold outreach as well, haven't we? We've got networking there. We do not. So yeah, we've basically got networking and word of mouth. Only if you actually have people that can introduce you. Cool. So 0 to 10K online business. What about 10 to 50K per month? How are we going to do this? Okay, so we're going from 10 to 50K. We only want to focus on the one strat. We were doing one strat there as well, weren't we? Cool. We're only going to do one strategy. That might be email. We won't be sending, by the way, a minimum of 1,000 emails per day. You're not going to gain any traction in online business if you're sending less than 1,000 emails a day. That is true for if you're 0 to 10K, 10 to 50, whatever you're at. You need to be sending a minimum of 10,000 emails a day. Bottom line. Okay. Then we also have content. So we're going to have our YouTube strategy running, but we also want to have some kind of a written content strategy running as well. So it's either going to be LinkedIn or Twitter. Okay, but again, we only want to be doing one of these, so I'm going to get rid of Twitter, but it's going to be one. Twitter, why would you choose Twitter over LinkedIn? Twitter is good when it comes to things like e-com, when it comes to coaches, and so on. And it's also a great space for AIs. But LinkedIn is going to be where you're going to get just a broader reach to more businesses, and arguably where you're going to build a better brand because the content is more evergreen. Twitter is very kind of like quick come, quick go. We also want to start running paid ads at this point, okay? Same rule applies though. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, that's where we're going to focus our time. And we are definitely going to start off straight away with landing pages. We don't want to do lead forms of online businesses. Far more sophisticated buyers, and they're not going to be interested in what we've got to sell if we're not going straight in with a funnel. Straight sell funnel is still where I recommend going from 10 to 50. Depending on the complexity of your business, you could do a VSL. Okay, so we could at this point record a 10-minute VSL. If we're AI automation, for example, a VSL will work well, but it depends on the complexity. If you just think about your service and think, if I was trying to buy this service, would I need a video to explain how it worked to me? If yes, you need to understand it in detail, then record a VSL. If the offer in itself is self-explanatory, go straight in with straight sell. Don't do a VSL for the sake of it. Don't think that you're going to get a higher conversion rate on a VSL than straight sell. Okay, that is not true for 99% of people. Obviously, then we're going to get our referrals as well. So we've got these other ones that we've already got cranking in, but what else are we going to run? We are going to, now we're going to have the opportunity to get our client referrals because we've already got clients in. Again, I would avoid those agency referrals and partner referrals just yet. And they are only going to come into play when we've got our 50 to 100K. So breaking that down, 50 to 100, same shit going on, mainly got emails running. That's going to be the main thing we're cranking. As far as outreach is concerned, we're going to have our 2 platforms running here. On YouTube, we might have LinkedIn. We might have even start repurposing across other platforms so that long-form content can turn into short form on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok potentially. But just as main strategy, we're going to have those 2 things running. Paid ads wise, we're still going to have our Facebook ads. We're still going to have our Instagram ads. And we're now going to reintroduce our Google ads into the mix, or going to introduce Google ads into the mix to protect our name. YouTube ads is the one thing that we can now consider of online business. So if we're marketing to online business, YouTube ads is a very effective way to get clients. But it's going to be, longer form content, longer form ads, like 2 to 3 minutes. And we need to be prepared to spend a little bit more money than Facebook and Instagram, but we will get a higher lead quality. And then finally on referrals, we can get all of this firing on all cylinders at this point. Okay, so that is the full client act strategy. I wanted to talk about booked calls in a bit more detail, but I just realized it's bang on 2 p.m. and I've got to be on a coaching call in our elite program right now to help guys who are already at this point between 10 and 100K per month, help them scale with their client acquisition systems. And maybe I can break this all down in a future video with you guys. If you do want me to talk about that, then I can talk about it in the future. But for now, I need to go. And I hope you got value from this. I'll see you all soon. Cheers. Subscribe for more. Bye.